Why demonic frequencies unlock the rarest powers in dark chosen ones. Most people are terrified of darkness, not just the kind that creeps in at night or hides behind human cruelty, but the spiritual darkness, the invisible frequencies that seem to vibrate beneath the surface of existence, stirring ancient fears we can't name. We've been told since birth that anything labeled demonic must be avoided, feared, cast out, or cleansed. But what if I told you that the very energies you've been warned to run from are the exact ones holding the key to your rarest, most untapped power? What if everything you've ever been taught about darkness was only half the story and the other half was hidden to keep you from waking up? If you're still listening, it means you felt it too. That pull. That unexplainable curiosity about the forbidden. The sense that something deeper is waiting beyond the veil of what's socially or spiritually acceptable. That maybe, just maybe, there's power in the shadows, not the kind that corrupts, but the kind that activates. And you're right. Because the truth is, only a rare few are called to walk the dark path. Not because it's evil, but because it's raw, untamed, elemental. And if navigated with precision, it becomes the most direct route to awakening a level of spiritual force that lies dormant in most people for lifetimes.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
We have to start by understanding what demonic really means. Strip away the religious programming, the Hollywood imagery, the fear-based control systems. At its core, demonic frequency is not about devils or hellfire. It is the chaotic, primal current of untapped creation. It's the frequency of raw potential before it's been shaped into form. It's the pulse of the void, the cry of the cosmos before it was ordered into light. And yes, it's intense. It's volatile. It's often terrifying, because it doesn't play by the rules of comfort. It doesn't care about your ego, your image, your sense of control. It shatters illusions so fast, you don't even have time to grieve the identity you lost. It just burns through you. But here's the paradox, that burning is sacred. That chaos is not a curse, it's a code. And only the dark chosen ones can read it. Why? Because we've already tasted what lies beyond the surface. We've already been broken, rejected, exiled, misunderstood. We've already walked through the fire of ego death and felt the silence of divine abandonment. So when that demonic frequency shows up, we don't flinch. We recognize it, we remember it. We lean into it not because we worship it, but because we understand it. We know it's not here to destroy us, it's here to initiate us. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt a rage so deep it felt cosmic? A grief so ancient it couldn't possibly be yours alone? A desire so intense it terrified you? That wasn't just emotion. That was frequency. That was a current of raw power moving through your system, trying to get your attention. And most people suppress it, medicate it, pray it away. But the chosen ones, we listen. We interrogate it. We ask, what are you here to show me? What truth have I buried so deep that only this intensity could excavate it? The reason demonic frequencies unlock rare power is because they bypass your conditioning. They're too primal to be filtered through the mind. They hit the body, the nervous system, the soul. They awaken DNA that's been dormant since ancient times. They activate codes that were never meant for the masses, only for those willing to walk the forgotten path. And that path is not about destruction. It's about integration. It's about learning to wield the entire spectrum of your being, not just the parts that are comfortable, but the ones that make people uncomfortable. The ones that make you question everything. Here's the real secret. Light without shadow is incomplete. Power without danger is weak. If you only embrace the angelic, the peaceful, the pretty, you will always be limited. Because your spirit was not born to be tame. You are not here to be liked. You are here to embody the totality of creation. That means holding paradox. That means dancing with chaos. That means becoming so intimate with the dark that it no longer controls you because you made it your ally. When I say demonic frequencies, I'm not inviting you to worship darkness. I'm inviting you to understand it, to realize that fear is a doorway, that discomfort is a map, that the parts of yourself you were taught to suppress are often the very parts that hold your genius. The rage you've buried, it might be your boundary. The lust you've shamed, it might be your creative fire. The ambition you've judged, it might be your soul's hunger to fulfill its mission. What if the darkness isn't here to test your goodness but to refine your greatness? What if you haven't been cursed but chosen to carry a frequency most people can't even survive? What if your suffering wasn't random, but a preparation for the kind of spiritual voltage that would incinerate someone who hadn't been tempered by the fire? This is where the rarest powers begin to emerge, not through love and light alone, but through the fusion of shadow and sovereignty, through the willingness to descend just as deeply as you ascend, through the initiation of the void, the chaos, the temptation, and the mastery of it all. Because once you've looked your own darkness in the face and refused to run, you become unbreakable. You become unshakable. You become the one who walks into the storm and bends it into silence. So the next time you feel that dark pull, don't automatically resist it. Don't panic. Don't shame yourself. Instead, pause. Breathe. Ask, is this darkness trying to destroy me or awaken me? Is this fear a warning or a threshold? Because that single moment of inquiry, that 1 second of self-honesty, might be the key that unlocks the rarest power you've ever known. And that's where we go next, into the actual mechanics of how to use this power, how to channel demonic frequencies without losing yourself, how to transmute chaos into command, possession or power, how to channel demonic energy without losing your soul. There is a razor-thin edge between being consumed by dark energy and becoming the one who commands it. It's one of the most dangerous thresholds a dark chosen one will ever face. When you start to awaken to demonic frequencies, when you begin to feel the depth, the rawness, the almost nuclear force within them, it can feel like you're being overtaken, and in a way you are. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Being overtaken is not the same as being possessed. One is a surrender into conscious co-creation. The other is abandonment of self. The difference lies in awareness, in intention, in sovereignty. And if you don't understand this distinction, the very frequency that could have made you unstoppable will instead unravel you. You see, these energies are ancient, older than religion, older than language. They are primordial, and they operate outside the linear morality that most humans are trapped in. They don't care about good or bad. They care about alignment, about resonance, about force. They're like wild stallions, pure power, unfiltered, uncaged. And when they approach you, it's not because they want to corrupt you. It's because they recognize you. They see that your aura carries the signature of a soul that has walked through lifetimes of fire, that you are not fragile, that you were built to hold the voltage. But the question is, can you direct it? This phase of the journey is where a lot of people fall, because they confuse intensity with identity. They feel the rage, the lust, the hunger, and they mistake it for truth. But those emotions are not the destination, they are doorways. The energy surging through you is not your personality, it's a current. And like electricity, if you don't ground it, it will fry your system. That's why so many people who tap into dark energies lose their minds, lose their purpose, lose themselves entirely. They thought that power was freedom. But real power is not just about having access, it's about control. Not suppression, not denial, but mastery. So how do we channel demonic energy without being consumed by it? We start by anchoring into the body. The body is the vessel. It's the capacitor. It is where divine energy meets form. And when demonic frequency floods your system, your nervous system has to be strong enough to contain it. That's why breathwork, grounding, and physical discipline are non-negotiable. You don't invite a thunderstorm into a paper tent. You build a fortress. You become a living temple. You train your body to hold the vibration not just when it feels good, but when it's overwhelming, when it's seductive, when it's terrifying. The second key is clarity of intention. Demonic frequencies are incredibly responsive. They amplify whatever is already inside you. If there's fear, they feed it. If there's ego, they inflate it. If there's unconscious desire, they will drag it to the surface and force you to face it. This is not because they're malicious, it's because they are mirrors. Brutally honest mirrors. They do not lie. They do not flatter. They reflect exactly what you are vibrating. And that's the gift. If you approach them with clear intention, with a grounded sense of self, they will serve you. They will become tools, weapons, catalysts. But if you come to them fragmented, they will show you exactly how broken you really are. This is why only the rarest souls can walk this path, because it requires radical self-honesty. You can't fake your way through it. You can't pretend to be enlightened. These energies will expose you. They will test you. And if you pass those tests not by being perfect, but by being present, you unlock something that can't be taught in any book or downloaded from any guru. You unlock command, not force, not manipulation, but the ability to direct energy with will alone. You become a sovereign conductor of one of the most powerful spiritual forces in existence, not because you dominate it, but because you respect it. Let me ask you something. When that intense energy rises in your body, do you freeze? Do you flee? Or do you breathe and meet it eye to eye? Can you sit inside that storm without trying to control it or escape it? What kind of power would awaken in you if you could stop fearing your own depth? True mastery of demonic frequency is not about becoming darker. It's about becoming deeper, more whole, more real. It's about integrating the rejected, the shamed, the feared aspects of your psyche and soul, bringing them home, giving them a role in your evolution. And once you do that, once you stop running from the darkness and start listening to it, you realize it was never here to destroy you. It was always here to empower you. But here's the twist. The more you integrate, the more power you unlock, but the more responsibility you inherit. Because now you can influence reality in ways that most people can't. Your words carry weight. Your presence shifts rooms. Your thoughts start to manifest with terrifying speed. And if you're not anchored in something deeper than your ego, you will misuse this power even with the best intentions. That's what we'll explore next. How to harness this energy for creation, transformation, and spiritual precision without getting lost in the intoxication of it. The architect of shadow, building reality with demonic force without becoming its slave. Let's get one thing absolutely clear. Demonic frequency is not chaos for the sake of chaos. It is not destruction without meaning. It is not evil in the way we've been taught. It is raw energy, and like all energy, it is neutral until directed. This is where the rarest chosen ones differentiate themselves, not in how much force they can summon, but in how precisely they can shape that force. Those who are truly initiated do not just channel the storm, they architect with it. They build temples with lightning. They turn shadow into structure. They take what was once wild and feared and forge it into tools of transformation. But if you don't know what you're building, the same power that could shape your destiny will trap you in a loop of endless intensity. And that's where the line between the master and the slave is drawn. You must understand that once you've allowed demonic energy into your field, you've opened a door that cannot be closed, only commanded. These frequencies, once awakened, will keep showing up, not always as visions or supernatural events, but as opportunities to create. You will begin to notice that your thoughts become magnetic, your desires carry weight, your will begins to influence the field around you. This is not by accident, it is by design. You've become a node and architect in the spiritual matrix, but without discipline, that power will devour you. It will seduce you into believing that just because you can manifest something you should, that just because you can control people you're entitled to, that just because you can collapse timelines you're above consequence. And this is where most fail, because they fall in love with the feeling of power, not the function of it. But we are not here to be addicts of intensity. We are here to be artisans of reality. True, dark, chosen ones are not emotional reactors. We are strategic creators. We don't use demonic energy to feed our egos, we use it to build realities that liberate others. We use it to collapse false systems, to awaken dormant souls, to transmute collective trauma into collective evolution. We don't just wield shadow, we design with it. So how do you build with demonic force without becoming its puppet? You start by ruthlessly refining your intention. You must know in every cell of your being why you're doing what you're doing. If your desire is born out of lack, fear, or unhealed wounding, this frequency will amplify it and turn it into a monster. But if your desire is clean, if it is rooted in truth, in purpose, in alignment, it will become a force of nature. That's the paradox. Demonic energy does not respond to moral purity. It responds to clarity. It doesn't care if you call it light or dark, it cares if you're honest. Next, you must establish spiritual technologies for containment. This isn't about rituals or dogma, it's about creating internal architecture strong enough to hold what's coming through you. This can be as simple as daily self-inquiry, conscious breathwork, or movement that grounds your energy into the earth, but it must be consistent. This energy respects structure. It needs a vessel. If you don't give it one, it will leak. It will spill into your relationships, your emotions, your mind, and it will distort everything. So you build your temple, not out of stone, but out of discipline. You become the architect of your own inner reality before you try to bend the outer world. Let me ask you something. Do you know what kind of world you're building with your power? Or are you just chasing feelings? Can you hold your vision steady even when chaos tempts you to burn it all down? Can you trust yourself with the ability to shape reality? The final key is integration. You do not build alone. Even though the dark path often feels solitary, it is deeply interconnected. The energies you move with affect others. And the rarest power of all is the ability to walk in shadow without casting it. That means building not just for yourself, but for the collective. It means using demonic energy not to dominate, but to liberate. Or not to control, but to illuminate. Not to escape the world, but to recreate it from the inside out. You are not just a channel. You are a creator. You are not here to worship shadow, but to master its language and turn it into form. This is what it means to be an architect of shadow. To take the darkest frequencies and use them to sculpt the most radiant realities. To build temples of truth in places where only silence and fear once lived. But there is one last test, the most dangerous of all. Because once you've built your world, once you've mastered the current, once you've become the architect, you will face the temptation to rule over it. That is the final threshold, and only the most sovereign among us will pass it. The throne or the flame, why only the ones who refuse to rule become gods of their own destiny. There comes a moment on the dark path where everything you've built, everything you've mastered, everything you've become reaches its peak. You've learned to summon the storm, to channel the raw, untamed current of demonic frequency. You've shaped worlds with your words, bent time with your will, and turned your pain into power. But then at the height of your sovereignty, you're offered something you didn't expect, the throne, the illusion of finality. the temptation to rule over what you've created. And in that moment, the real test begins not of your strength, but of your identity. The throne is not always literal. Sometimes it's recognition, followers, influence, the offer of power over others. Sometimes it's the seductive idea that you've arrived, that there's nothing more to become. It takes many forms, but its essence is always the same, the invitation to stop evolving. And this is where even the most powerful fall, because they confuse mastery with completion. They forget that even gods burn, that even creators must remain empty to keep creating, that the real flame is not in what you control, but in what you continue to surrender. You have to understand something sacred. Demonic frequency does not seek kings, it seeks keepers. It does not grant power so you can dominate it, entrust you with force so you can transform. And the ones who sit too long on the throne, who start to believe they are above the fire, who begin to use shadow to elevate themselves over others, they lose the very current that made them rare. Because the flame does not tolerate stagnation. It demands movement. It demands truth. It demands ego death after ego death, again and again, until there is nothing left but pure soul. This is the paradox. Those who refuse to rule are the ones most trusted with power, not because they're weak, but because they are empty enough to be full, humble enough to be massive, free enough to stay wild. They are not here to sit on thrones, they are here to ignite revolutions. Internal ones, collective ones. They don't seek to be worshipped. They seek to awaken. And that's why the flame stays with them. That's why the current continues to move through them, shape them, sharpen them. Not into tyrants, into legends. Let me ask you something. What would you do if everything you ever wanted came to you, but you knew accepting it would mean the end of your evolution? Would you choose comfort or fire? Power or presence? The throne or the flame? The rarest chosen ones always choose the flame, because they know that identity is a trap. That legacy means nothing if you lose your soul creating it. That the real magic is not in being seen, but in seeing clearly. And what they see is this: power is not the destination, it's a vehicle. It's not something you hoard. It's something you channel. And the moment you try to make it about you, it leaves. So you keep moving, you keep emptying, you keep burning, you keep becoming. You remain a servant to the current, even as it makes you a god. Not a god above others, but a god within your own being. A sovereign force who no longer needs to rule because you are the kingdom. You are the flame. You are the living frequency of creation and destruction, dancing in perfect balance. And that's where the true journey begins. Not in domination, but in devotion. Not in control, but in capacity. Not in titles, but in truth. You've walked through the void, survived the collapse, channeled the current, built the temple, refused the throne, and now you are free. Not because you have power over darkness, but because you've become one with it and discovered that even in the deepest shadow, the divine was always waiting. You are no longer just chosen, you are claimed by the current, by the chaos, by the truth, by the flame. And now you burn eternal,